Hey guys, this is Undercover Dudes all the way from Down Under, and today I have some new graphics gameplay of Death Room. Now, Death Room was updated yesterday in the Combat Arms beta build, and first up, I have to say I am really impressed. Now, the gameplay for this video will be split into two parts. The first part that you're seeing right now is the graphics cranked all the way up to Insane Ultra, basically the highest setting possible. Later on, I'll go and show you guys some gameplay where I've gone and turned down the settings a little bit. And at that setting specification, I feel like I get decent FPS and basically no input lag, overall giving me a really playable experience. Alright, let's get into it talking about the Ultra preset gameplay. And as you can see, it looks absolutely beautiful. Of the three maps Nexon have gone and reworked for the new graphics update, that being Oil Rig, Junk Fleet, and Death Room. Death Room is by far the best looking out of the three. Junk Fleet and Oil Rig have major problems in terms of textures and lighting. Overall, Nexon has gone and misinterpreted what those maps should actually be with the updated graphics. With Junk Fleet, the contrast is way too high, and the brightness is way too high in sections as well, overall giving it a really disjointed feel. In Oil Rig, the brightness is really high, and in some sections you'll go and get a bit of a whitewash. The gamma is really high, and overall it feels unnatural as well. Death Room, it feels like Death Room, but with better graphics, and that's how the whole update's supposed to be. You're supposed to be taking the existing map, going and keeping the feel that we can already go and experience in the public client, and just going and enhancing that with these new graphics. Nexon has gone and hit the nail on the head with Death Room. The lighting is absolutely perfect. The Death Room is supposed to be a very eerie map, an atmosphere, and the lighting has to go and resemble that. In the main corridor, the lighting is dim, so it gives a very big horror feel, but it's also bright enough that it's very easy to go and see your enemies. Oil Rig has the problem where in some really dark spots, it's basically impossible to go and see your enemy. Death Room doesn't have this problem. There is some dark spots, but you can still go and see your enemy, overall giving nobody a competitive advantage if you go and use the old graphics or the new graphics. Now, the gameplay that you're seeing right now is on my reduced settings. Now, these reduced settings is what I consider to be playable on these new graphics. And as you can see, the look of the map hasn't gone to diminish too much. When you have a look at the shadows, they are a lot more sharper. It doesn't have that soft feel that we saw before. The lighting in the main corridor is a little bit more dimmer. The contrast is a little bit more higher. But overall, the map still has its eerie feel. And more importantly, the map is still playable even on lower settings. That point right there is very important. If there is a graphics setting where it's basically unplayable, then that's a problem. But Death Room, it doesn't have this problem. Oil Rig and Junk Fleet do. Now, one thing that I do want to go and point out is that some of the textures for this map haven't been updated. Actually, quite a few of the textures haven't been updated. But I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm perfectly fine with that because there is, more pressing issues in terms of gameplay and whatnot. And just giving this map a little bit of a facelift is all that it really needed. Trying to go and make the map look completely different, like Nexon tried to go and do with Oil Rig and Junk Fleet, isn't good because players just won't go and resonate with the new graphics. With Death Room, they went and kept to the original fundamentals, and the design philosophy for this map is perfect because it goes and resonates with the original Combat Arms player base that has gone and spent hours and hours grinding Death Room, Nade House, whatever. They can go and say, okay, this just looks like a better version. That's all that we really needed. If Nexon went back and then reworked Junk Fleet and Oil Rig in the same way, they were almost there. They just went and tried to go and be a little bit too extreme with the effects and the lighting and everything. It was a little bit too try-hard kind of thing. If they just went back and gave it, a modest graphics update, I think overall people will be really impressed. And I think when people go and try this map out, when the whole graphics update goes live, I think people will be really impressed as well. But as always, there are still two really big problems that I have to go and talk about. Frames per second issues and mouse lag issues, or input lag issues as people like to go and call it. Now, talking about the FPS stuff, to be perfectly honest, when I'm running ultra graphics on my rig, which is i7 970, you know, pretty beefy specs, and I'm getting 60 to 80 frames per second on combat arms, that is not good. That's not good at all. I think on ultra graphics, I should, with my specs, be hitting around 120 frames per second, which is coincidentally what I'm getting with medium to low. Medium to low, in my opinion, is basically the graphics that everybody should be able to go and run. The fact that this is as high as I'm willing to go in order to go and get a playable experience, that is worrying, because I feel for people that have laptops or computers that are worse than mine and they're getting really shit FPS, that means, okay, this graphics update for a big portion of the player base is going to be a failure, because a lot of the player base of combat arms have really bad computers, really bad laptops, their grandmother's computer from fucking 1970 or something. You get what I mean? You get what I mean? Not 1970. You get what I mean? Very bad computers people playing this game on. They're getting 30 FPS on the old graphics. What do you think they're going to go and get on the new graphics? Now, the question that a lot of people would be asking me is, they're just going to go and play the old graphics. What's the problem? In terms of that, there really isn't a problem. If they're used to the old graphics and they can't go and run the new, they're more than happy to go back to the old, and I don't think they would have much of a problem. I don't think they would really go and complain. But what about the people that have gone and seen gameplay of the new graphics, gameplay of what Combat Arms looks like with this new graphics update, believe that their computer can go and run it because they believe, okay, they've got an i5 and a 960, and then they go and try it out, and oh shit, I'm getting 20 frames per second, oh shit, I have to go back to these old graphics, oh shit, Combat Arms looks crap in comparison to Battlefield, let's go and uninstall. You see, the problem here is, if it's not widely accessible, then not many people are going to go and pick it up. It makes sense. I don't have to go and spell it out. Nexon has to go and optimize the FPS before this update goes live. And if they don't, then I think a lot of their existing player base will go to the old graphics, and any new players that would want to go and try out CA, they would be going and playing on the old graphics as well. It is true that not many people care about the graphics of Combat Arms, me being included, but when you go and show a new player these new graphics and then say, okay, you can't go and play on that because your computer isn't good enough, that's like a stab in the back type of thing. That's like, why are you doing this graphics update in the first place? You're trying to go and attract new people. It's like clickbait. It's like, here is this old new flashy stuff, and then you go and give them the old stuff. Now, the old stuff isn't that bad, but when you go and show somebody something and then they go and get something else, that's a very big point of distrust. And distrust is something that Nexon has gone and paid for in the past. We've paid to win with hackers, with glitching, with power leveling, so on. I'm getting quite off topic about the graphics, but you get what I mean. The FPS of this graphics update must be significantly improved before this update goes live. And also, Nexon can go and muck around with what low, medium, high, and ultra presets actually are. In my opinion, the medium preset for any game is, okay, I'm going to get rock solid FPS. My game isn't going to look the best, but it's going to look decent. Low means, okay, I want the highest FPS possible. I don't give a shit about how bad the game looks. And ultra is, okay, I have a really good computer. I'm willing to go and sacrifice my FPS. I'm willing for it to be, you know, under 80, around the 60 to 80 mark. And from there, okay, I want my game to look the best. That is what the presets mean, in my opinion. But at the moment, it's basically, if you have, you know, a moderate computer, you have to go on low or very low, because if you don't, everything's going to go and lag. Now, moving on to the second problem, which is input lag. Input lag has been with this whole update ever since the Combat Arms user meeting. When we first played on there, we were saying that our mouses are lagging. But for our older patches, I have to say there has been a really big improvement. The graphics that I was running for this gameplay, I have to say that my mouse didn't feel laggy. It was on point. I could go and hit shots with my assault rifle, pistol, sniper rifle, whatever. And overall, I felt like I, you know, was doing quite well. My mouse, you know, was being quite responsive. But was it as responsive as the public build? No. And that is that's the straw that goes and breaks the camel's back. If there is any difference in mouse lag between the old and the new graphics, and the old graphics are better, guess what I'm going to be playing on? I'm going to be playing on the one that goes and gets me, you know, the best chance possible of me hitting my shots as accurately as possible. What I've been doing lately is just turning the new graphics off, but using the development build, because the development build has the 1000 Hz mouse polling rate fix, and also it has the fix where FPS doesn't go and affect mouse sensitivity, and that means everything is consistent. Everything is the same in terms of sensitivity, and I'm hitting really banger shots, and I am really happy. Like, I'm having the funnest time possible because my shot isn't being affected by the game. No inbuilt mouse acceleration, no mouse moving. That is great. I expect that experience with the old graphics and with the new graphics as well, and that's what Nexon has to go and work on before these new graphics are shipped. That means going and fixing the input lag on the new graphics, and also with the old graphics going and implementing the 1000 Hz mouse polling rate fix and the FPS link to sensitivity fix. When everything, you know, is consistent between the two, that's when I'll be happy, because at the moment there is still a very big advantage running a combination of the two, as I could go and say. So with that mini rant aside, my thoughts on Death Room are very simple. It is a great rework, and Nexon, be proud of yourself and take this design philosophy and go and apply it to Oil Rig, apply it to Junk Fleet, and apply it to all the maps that you plan to go and upgrade in the near future. And then when you go and ship the graphics update, I think a lot of people will be happy. But saying that, as I said before, FPS, input lag, etc. Very important stuff that needs to be fixed before everything goes live. But other than that, it's Undercover Dudes all the way from Down Under.